Hello everybody, my name is Sylvain Rochon. I am the Paradise Engineer, and finally I wrote another article. Actually, that's not long after my last one, but this one is more technical. It's about self-driving cars. It's been a while since I've talked about it in this depth, but I did some math and I wrote an article. I wanted to kind of explain how self-driving vehicle technology will transform our cities. And it's really important because the impact is going to be very, very important. The city planners will love it. The citizens should love it. And I'll describe what and why this is so. Okay, because self-driving cars just sounds like, well, it's going to solve a bunch of problems. Like, for example, fewer accidents because no sleepy, drunk people will be at the wheels of those cars. It's going to be an AI. There will still be accidents. These AIs are learning AIs. They will cause accidents of a different kind for different reasons. They won't be perfect, but if we have fewer accidents than what we have today with human drivers, we're winning that fight. What we don't really consider is how these cars probably will be used and how it's going to transform how we live, transportation, and the cityscape itself. And if you take on, for example, if you take on Elon Musk, what he said, I believe it was last week at a conference, he said there should be over 1 million self-driving cars, and he's talking about Teslas specifically, by the end of next year. I think that's a bit of a high number, but what it says is that he does plan to be aggressively selling Teslas, self-driving Teslas. Most car manufacturers have deals and already the rollout to start selling their cars in 2020, 2021, and these are generally level 4 and level 5 automated vehicles. Level 5 is complete automation. Level 4 is there's still a steering wheel. You can still optionally drive, and sometimes you have to pick up the driving yourself. And of course, when these cars start being sold on the street, they won't be completely replacing from one day to the next every car that we have. There's going to be a rollout. There's going to be incentives probably from some governments like California to encourage the adoption. I know it is something that's gone on in South Korea and other places as well, because they are all electrical vehicles. And so the transformation was going to be, slowly year over year, but I believe it's going to be fairly dramatic because of Uber, Lyft, Tesla, and other companies in the car sharing business. They want to they're competing against the market for the market share against each other, and they're going to roll out a whole bunch of cars, and they're going to encourage people to make money from it because, as you know, Uber, well, drivers make money, and Tesla, their robo-taxi service, that's what he calls it. What he intends to do is that, well, they're going to sell you the car, but then you get to rent the car out to others while you're not using it. And this is significant because most people take decisions for a couple of reasons. One, for financial reasons, and the other one is for vanity, more not practical reason, but for vanity or to show off or for pleasure, I guess would be another way to say it, or a different reason. Now, a lot of people just enjoy driving, but most people just want to be productive and save time and money because everybody is, like, I know that 50%, or I think it's 45%-ish of Canadians and Americans don't have $400 ahead of them in their bank account. Saving money is a big deal, especially since everybody needs to go somewhere and to be transported. So if these self-driving cars can generate money by renting it out while having the new car, it's kind of a side business, kind of an Uber business that is working for you. The AI is working for you, and you're paying the cost. But if the money is if the car makes more money than you do, you're a winner. And the reason why this is so appealing is currently cars are a cash sink. I did some of the math, like using statistics, of course, just to show it. Like currently, about 95% of the time, if you're a car owner, your car is parked somewhere. It's not being used. Nonetheless, you still pay everything. And on average, in Canada, the cost of owning a car is approximately $1,000 a month. It varies plus minus depending on car usage and so on. So $1,000 a month goes out the window. You use it not 5% of the time, roughly an hour a day or so, going to work and back, half an hour each way. This is North America, of course. Other cities may be different, other countries. Now, what you're gaining from this is, I'm assuming, based on average salaries, hourly, about $20 a day in productivity savings, because you're saving that time. You don't have to spend twice the time using public transportation or walking or whatever to get to. So you're saving time, and time is money. So I'm assigning $20. So that's the gain in a month. Let's imagine over the whole month, over the whole 30 days-ish, then you're actually gaining $600 in productivity. So that's what you get out of the investment of having a car. You're spending $1,000, so you're losing $400 a month net in value. Now, if you choose, just as a scenario, to have your current car and rent it out to others, and it becomes sorry, no, let's go backward. Let's imagine you use your car a lot more. Some people actually use it a lot more to save time, to be more productive. Let's say 10 hours a day. Let's put a massive number on that. This is unreasonable. Nobody does this. But let's assume that's about $200 a day that you save in productivity. Let's imagine that fictional scenario. Well, now you're making money, because you're actually making $6,000 a month back in productivity savings in this horrendous lunacy of scenario. That's great, because it costs $1,000, you gain $6,000. Amazing. Now, what Tesla is trying to do with its robo-taxi service, and what Uber and also Lyft and Waymo and some of these other car sharing services will do, is that they will probably have fleets of cars of their own investment, and they're going to rent it out like the Uber and Lyft model. But they'll have to compete with Tesla. So my prediction is these cars, and the car manufacturers on their own, they will sell cars and put them in their service, in their network, as an Uber driver. Just like a standard Uber, they own their own car. And then, just like the Tesla robo-taxi service, a lot of people will buy the car as an investment. And then when they're not using the car, and this is an AI car, of course, e-vehicle, then they're renting it out to people. Now, if to others it's worth $20 an hour of productivity savings, maybe they'll spend $10 to you for the service. They don't need to maintain the car. You handle that. You have the cost. All they want is just pay for the service. So maybe it's $10 an hour, for example. So that's money that's in the bank for you, 23 hours out of 24-ish, because you're using it for 1 hour. The rest of the time, the rest of the 23 hours, your car is out helping other people driving on. They're paying you $10 an hour, right? So that's $230 a day income, and you save $20 because of your productivity savings using your own car. That's $250 of value per day, which is $7,500 a month of gain. Some of it, most of it, is actual cash. The other bit, another part of it is you saving money because you have your own car to drive yourself around. But the cost, it may not be $1,000 a month, because then insurance may increase because of the way you're using it. The electricity cost of refilling a lot. Because the car may be able to refuel itself. Hopefully, that would be great, especially if you're using it as a service like that and running around, and so on. So maybe it's going to be $1,500 or $2,000 a month in cost, but you're still gaining over $5,000. So the car owners are going to be winners, right? Now, I'm explaining all this because there's more to this. I'm leading to the city planning things and how it's going to transform other things. But this definitely will transform the landscape, because I would much rather spend $10 an hour for my 1 hour a day I need the car to move around than have my own vehicle. And a lot of people will see the same thing. That's money that is kept in their pocket, and they still have the same convenience as a Uber driver driving you around, which is a wait time, like in my city, it's usually 3 to 5 minutes max. That's great. So you get the same efficient transportation as if you had your own car. I mean, it costs you $10 an hour, like $10 a day, literally. You don't have to pay for gas, parking, or anything because you get right to destination. That's an amazing savings, like $300 a month, way less than $1,000 a month of having your own car. That's amazing, right? So a lot of people will opt for that. Some people will own the car because they want to. They like to drive with a level 4 car, for example, on occasion, whatever, right? What's that going to change ultimately? And this is where it gets really interesting, is that all this cash talk drives behavior. So have few people that will buy the car. Like, there's going to be an initial excitement. A lot of people are going to buy cars because, oh, I can rent it out. But there's just so much demand. So there's going to be competition in who has the cars, the car sharing services that have fleets. And that's going to drive price down. And a lot of people will lose money on having their own e-vehicles and trying to rent it out because there's too many vehicles for people. Right now, there's, like in Canada, 37 million individuals. There are 25 million cars. Long distances, a lot of people need a car to go anywhere because of the countryside and whatnot. Now, if a vehicle in particular in this competitive landscape will service the needs of many, likely up to 24 people an hour each a day, for example, you don't need that many cars. You don't need the 25 million cars because one car is being useful to like 20 odd individuals. Let's assume that there is a lot of inefficiency in the system. A lot of people will just let their car being rented out 50% of the time if they own one, okay? Then according to the math, and the article I have below shows it a little bit, you end up needing only 10% of the actual number of cars that are currently on the street to be of service to everybody. Well, that means 2.5 million cars instead of 25. Way fewer cars, which in turn means inside our cities, not only the cars are not parked, but there are 10 times fewer cars on the street too. So if you look at a street that's full of cars, just take 1 out of 10, imagine that one's there, and make the others vanish. And that's the landscape we're going to see once, in say, perhaps 10 years from now, or 15 years from now. And parking spots are not needed anymore. And guess what? 10 to 20% of the land area of our cities are parking spots because of because of the fact that 2/3 of the individuals, like 6 out of 7 individuals, have a car. That's one car per it's 6 cars per 10 individuals essentially. That's the math, right? In Canada, that is. US is similar. So there's a lot of spots. There's 10 to 20% of the city where you can just take the spot, like on the side of the streets. You can even take some of the lanes of the streets because there's 10 times fewer cars, and repatriated that into doing something else with it. Parks, more dense housing, commercial, trees, flowers, even more bike lanes. And I anticipate there's going to be more two-wheeled transportation vehicles, like skateboards, bicycles. People are going to want to do a little bit of something to move around, and there's this space in the cities where you can actually facilitate that for people who want to just do the exercise or get some air. And there's going to be more space for that. That's huge for city planners because most of these parking spots are in densely packed areas. So you can increase the density of that area in population or services, but you can beautify it as well. This is going to be a city by city choice. It's going to be really amazing, right? So no more traffic because all these cars are connected to a network and they communicate with each other by that time using 5G. So they know what's going on everywhere, traffic, spots, accidents, constantly. And they'll be way better than us at deciding which itinerary, which route to take. So we're just going to let the navigator take us, or a digital assistant, just tell him where you want to go. It's going to go. no problem. It's going to avoid all the problems. It's going to change streets ahead of time because it knows what's going on in the other parts of the city, weather patterns, everything. Very, very useful. And there's going to be just fewer cars. Not only that, but think about this. These are electric, quiet. 10 times fewer cars, and they're all quiet. Noise pollution, air pollution, all gone. It's electric, has no emissions. Not only that, imagine something else. All these manufacturers, well, not all of them, but Uber, Lyft, Google, some, Amazon, they also want, a few years after the initial deployment of the ground-based self-driving vehicles, they want to have eVTOL, so electric vertical takeoff and landing vehicles. These are passenger drones, essentially, that are flying. So if you want to go fast, up to 200 kilometers an hour, some of them I've seen like 300 kilometers an hour, go from to the city center as the crow flies, so you're not following the streets, or to the top of a building. That service can be hooked up to the same networks at all the cars. Perhaps you pay a little bit extra because it's a little bit more expensive in the upkeep of a vehicle, like that goes into the air, but it goes into to the air. It goes and brings you directly where you want to go, way faster than a car would. And all these systems could be all integrated into one single citywide transportation system, and even nationwide transportation system if we wanted to. So the subway, cars, the buses, the eVTOLs, all the stuff can be part of the same network to be super efficient, to minimize how many of them there are, and to minimize how much space is used by them. They don't park. There's way fewer of them. It's a quiet city, no air pollution or barely. City planners will have a field joy with that 10 to 20% more land space they can do something else with. That's going to be a city of the future. It's this is 10, 15 years into the future, not long. There's going to be an aggressive rollout. Look for it. I definitely don't care of having one car or not. I just want to be able to get from A to B and it costing less, and I want it to be comfortable. That's it. So bring it on, services. I'm ready as a consumer, and the consumer is going to win in this because there's so much competition. Cars will, the cost will go way down, and there's going to be as many options as you can imagine. And our cities are going to be probably way nicer, modern, and more convenient, I suppose. Well, that's it for now. If you want to read the article, it's down below, linked. And if you want to send me a comment, write something you want me to talk about, something else, go ahead, subscribe, share, do anything you like with this video. I'm just here to educate. And hope you enjoyed it. Ciao for now.